Welcome back to Grandiloquent, the Grandiloquent Hip Hop Show. I'm your co-host, Ian Taronji. We are talking hip hop, straight to the old heads, people who love great hip hop and great music. I mentioned that I am a co-host. I'll introduce my esteemed co-hosts. First off, Tia Abner, who goes by Prowess the Testament in her MC superhero world.
Yes.
Tia, how are you?
I'm doing divine. Thank you so much.
Divine. Good to hear. Good to hear. My other co-host is the man himself, the grandiloquent one himself. We call him the word of the day, MC.
Ha,
My man, Artemis.
what up?
Artemis, what's up?
Man, I'm chilling, man. I've been working hard. Working hard. You dig? That's all I can
I do.
say.
I
Yeah.
respect the grind. Always respect the grind.
No
Always
doubt.
respect the grind. How are you guys doing? It's been a hot minute. We had Thanksgiving, I think, between our last show and tonight.
hmm
Everyone had good Thanksgiving.
Yes.
For the most part. Yeah. It's cool.
Good. I hope all of our listeners and viewers out there, both of you, hope you stayed safe as well. So just really quick, what is Grandiloquent? What is the Grandiloquent Hip Hop Show? So we are three lovers of hip hop, creators of hip hop, music fans, educated citizens. We have lots of opinions and thoughts. I always feel like there's a generation of hip hop fans who maybe doesn't really get with a lot of the newer hip hop, the stuff that's on Sirius XM Hip Hop Nation. I get with some of that stuff, but I like real music and real hip hop, and so we try to find that really great stuff that old heads like us can still get into. That's new, it's fresh, and then we always like to go back and look at some classic hip hop albums. So we've got a lot in store tonight. Just really quickly, we're going to be talking about Psalm 1, the MC who just wrote a pretty serious op-ed about kind of her treatment in the hip hop world. And I think it's going to raise a lot of interesting points and give us a good platform to talk about the business of hip hop. Then our current album review, we're going to be talking about the new one from Open Mike Eagle. It's called Anime, Trauma, and Divorce. So the subject matter is not really subtly hidden behind some cryptic album title. It's right there in your face, and but it's a great album. I really enjoyed it, and I think you will as well. And we'll dig into it and talk about why it's great. And then on classics, tell you what, man, Artemis, you always pull out like the gems, the diamonds in the rough, man. Yag Fu Front action-packed adventure going all the
Yes.
way back to '94. That's gonna be a fun one to talk about.
No doubt.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna come back on the other side, and we are gonna talk about Open Mike Eagle. All right, and we're back. Welcome back to Grandiloquent, the Grandiloquent Hip Hop Show. I know before the break I said we were going to talk about Open Mike Eagle, but we're gonna talk about Psalm 1. I think this is the second time I've done that. We're like, we're
Yep.
gonna do this, and then we come back like, actually we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do
You fumbled.
that. Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. If I was a football player, if I was on punt return duty, two fumbles like that, they don't let you go back for a third time.
Flag on the play. Mhm. Sorry, baby.
I can take it. I can take it. This is a great topic that I believe was initially suggested by Tia. I might be wrong about that, but I know Tia had a lot that she wanted to talk about with this Psalm 1 op-ed. And if you go, it's a Medium post that's titled "Ain't No Human Resources in Hip Hop." Tia, why don't you tell us what's going on here with this, and
Yes.
what were your kind of like just initial thoughts about
So let me
this
give
op-ed?
a quick sort of synopsis. I think as much as I can do a quick for what Rhyme Sayers Entertainment RSE is. It's a Minneapolis, Minnesota-based hip hop label. They've spent larger part of 2 decades. It's been about 25 years now, releasing really sort of important releases in the canon of what is considered underground rap for the era. The label was formed in '95 out of what was called the Headshots crew, which was sort of this Twin Cities sort of underground crew that was producer Ant, Musab, Slug, and then Brent Sayers, Sadiq, and they all founded this label to release music by themselves and sort of in their friends. So if you think about the fact of the dream that we all had as a musician, when you grow up, sort of thinking about building this legacy for yourself and say, why don't I just make the music that I really love in friends? Considering that Twin Cities was not considered a hip hop town, sort of in the era of underground hip hop, when New York is sort of really bubbling, and you've got your West Coast and your South rap, and even with the Midwest. So this was a really an opportunity for the city to change, I think, the legacy of the hip hop scene, and think about growing it in that way. Right. The label, like I said, been around 25 years. This year in June, there were some I don't know if I can say names, but there were some artists that were accused. There were allegations of predatory behavior and sexual misconduct of some of the artists that were on that label, on Rhymesayers. And so the label made a decision to end working relationships with a couple of those artists that were accused. But then a lot of other just sort of complicit or details of encounters that were happening, that where other artists on the label were just complicit, where they knew about it and didn't say anything, where they may have been facilitating abuse of women, and Rhymesayers really didn't really make, I think, for most people, the kind of action that is really needed to apologize for survivors, where you don't just sort of drop someone off the label into relationship. You have to say, we're no longer going to be complicit in misogyny. You have to do something about it, not just speak about it. And so there's a lot of people that didn't feel comfortable with Rhymesayers' behavior, or their response, rather, their statements and their response to this predatory behavior in the music, in music of musicians and other women that have been abused. And so there was a massive boycott in around June of this year that has continued. Now, Rhymesayers has this sort of beloved Minneapolis label responsible for careers of like Atmosphere. It's a global, touring band, as well as Brother Ali. They are responsible for the Soundset Music Festival that is held in Minneapolis every year. So this boycott is really, really significant. And even creating, there was a boycott Rhymesayers hashtag on Twitter that became a whole entire movement over the summer. And for many fans and artists, right, this kind of toxic, exclusionary boys club started to permeate with a lot of female artists, and sort of, which brings us to Psalm 1, who's the label's only woman signee at the time. There's also Sarak, who's on the label as well, but she was the lone female signee and queer signee for a long time. And so being by herself in the midst of all of these accounts of survivors, and wanted to share her story a little bit around her treatment on the label. So not just as an artist, but as a human being, how she was treated across different, every kind of dominion, from what it's like to be the contractual obligations, having to stand up to managers for poor treatment, and having to self-manage and manage up, having more than a decade of being able to, sort of do that professionally, working in a professional vacuum, not having the support and additional resources for her that some of the other artists on the label were given. So with that, I set that up to just sort of say that's a little background around it. And this article called "Ain't No Human Resources in Hip Hop" delves further into Psalm One's journey on the label.
Let me ask you a question, Tia. And I don't know, maybe it's not a fair question, but do you feel in this article is Rhymesayers specific? Because I kind of read this and felt like this could be about any label and about any artist that doesn't kind of break that sort of like glass ceiling where you're sort of like in that middle tier, you're signed, but they're not really investing a lot in you, and they're not putting out your music. And you hear stories about artists on labels with that kind of situation all the time. Do you think that this is something that's Rhymesayers specific, or do you feel like this is what she's describing is kind of endemic in the industry?
I agree with the latter. I think it's a pandemic in the industry, and I feel like it's more at the beginning of the article. There's a photo of Megan Thee Stallion, and I think her journey is very much similarly, where there's sort of this tokenism that Megan Thee Stallion was feeling that she was exploited by her own label. And they think there's a lot of conversation now of women that are feeling very disrespected and second rate and sort of behind the scenes disrespected often, when maybe you don't see those things always as a listener and as a fan of those artists. But being able to take that time to come out and say this is really what's happening behind the scenes, and educating fans and how they can actually be better advocates for the artist too, which I think has changed the narrative, because for many years women have not done that.
Yeah, I wonder if it feels to me like maybe like Rihanna was one of the first ones to where you saw like this groundswell of fans advocating on her behalf, and kind of like canceling Chris Brown and making him suffer consequences for all of the abuse that he heaped on her, and
Yeah.
so to the extent that audiences are kind of taking account and holding people to account for bad behavior, especially misogyny and homophobia and whatever. That feels to me like good progress. An educated, hopefully a growing, educated class of music consumer that feels that way. Artemis, what were your thoughts reading this? Because I know you've been in the industry, been working in the industry for a minute now.
Dog, let me say this. It conflicts with me because Tia knows I met Slug years ago. He actually bought my first EP when I saw him at Scribble Jam. I've known quite a few of them for years, seen them over the years, kicked it with them, but I don't know them like what goes on behind the scenes either. You know what I'm saying? Because that's their scene.
Right.
Reading it, I gotta say, when the accounts she had about like moving from Chicago to Minneapolis, and then a situation happened where she got kicked out of the place she was staying at by another artist, like that blew me. I was like, what? Just like, she didn't even say she had family to stay with. She had an acquaintance she could stay with, then she moved back. That would have been like, for me, I would have been like, oh man, that's wild.
Yeah, she moved back to Chicago right quick.
Right.
I think after a couple of weeks.
Yeah, she did. Now the other thing was that the situation when she got into the altercation with that one artist, that was crazy too. But one thing that she kind of mentioned, but she didn't mention it, and I'm not sure if this is the same album. She mentioned that she had an album with Oh No, who was Madlib's brother. Like, it was done, and she tried to turn it in, and they never played it out. And I was blown, because Oh No is that's a very dope producer who I like to hear from every time he comes out with something. And as a fan, I was just like, dang, really? So I was just kind of blown, because that would have been an album I would have loved to have been able to buy or been able to have in my collection.
Yeah. What's the deal? I guess what's the deal with labels when they decide not to put something out that's already done? I mean, what's the point of that? I mean, I guess there's cost in printing and putting it out and, you know, doing some marketing for it and everything like that. But I mean,
Yes.
even if you're not willing to invest a ton into it, you can still put it out, or at least give the artist the opportunity to put it out independently.
See, I'm not sure about how that works or whatever. I did ask someone about it. She was like, I mean, she didn't say too much about it, but she was like, she might look in to see if she could like release it. But that's what she said. I don't know if that's going to happen. Because I
Right.
definitely let her know, like, look, I would love to hear that album. It's dope.
Mhm.
And then furthermore, too, I know some of the latest signees, Nikki Jean, who was the homie from college. Shout out to Nikki Jean. Ciroc we all went to the same college. They're both on the label. And like, you know, I hope like, you know, I hope Ramsey is going to do them right. You know, I'm pretty sure they will. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
that shows progress in the right direction, but still they know they have to correct some things, because I don't want to go through all of what happened with the artists. I'm not going to mention them because that actually, as a matter of fact, that actually was a domino effect with other artists, though, on other labels,
Yeah.
having
Exactly.
to come out too in this whole
Yes.
independent scene. Because not only did it affect Minneapolis, you got to think about how there are old stories coming about artists in L.A., some on the East Coast, you know.
Exactly.
So it's very triggering, since this scene is very this scene of hip hop is very inclusive for everybody to be a part of. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, gay,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to be. You're in this scene of hip hop where a lot of people are accepted and included.
Mm-hmm.
And to hear this news is definitely like, wow, that's heartbreaking. So
Yeah.
I'll be honest, man, I'm very conflicted about it, because these are people I've seen kicked it with. I didn't know Sadiq personally at all. Um, yeah, it's just sad, you know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I wish the best for everybody, and I hope, like, you know, things change in a positive manner and a progressive manner, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if we're just like real talk, I mean, hip hop has long been a boys' club. I mean, Tia,
Yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
cannot imagine you would disagree with that. It's been a
Mm-mm.
boys' club, and I feel like, you know, women have to fight seemingly twice as hard just to get the same kind of respect that, you know, the really great male MCs do. When we all know that there's fantastic female MCs.
So go ahead.
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
So with that said, because I do want Tia to like chime in on this.
Yeah, yeah,
See, you're gonna trip when I say this. I remember
Mm-hmm.
I used to have conversations with my homeboys from college, like back in the day, and they would make the weirdest comments about ladies in hip hop. They would say
Mm-hmm.
that they don't listen to women in hip hop like that. I never got that, because I'm like, well, hold up. I'm like, man, MC Light was fire. Like
yep,
Sunshine
Yeah.
K was killing it. I used to have um, the CD called Return of the B Girl by
Yeah. I
T
have
Love.
that. Yep.
Fire. Nefertiti was dope. Medusa was like hands down one of the best performers I'd ever seen when she was on tour here.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not get the reasoning behind what they were saying. Like they would say that,
yeah,
like in a comedy tip, they say, you know, women aren't funny. I I just did not grasp what they were, where they were coming from with this, because I was like, you know, you have to open your mind to listen to these other voices. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to always hear a man's voice just
Yeah.
detailing his raps and stories. It's like sometimes you just need to listen to the talent. You got to hear like the wordplay, the delivery, and what
Mm-hmm.
they're choosing to do with these bars. And you're just
yeah,
basing it on gender. I mean, what are you doing? So
Right.
yeah.
that always puzzled me. So I don't know. I'm gonna pass it off to you, Tia. Like,
Well, yeah, Tia, why don't you wrap
But
this up? Wrap it up in a bow for us
yes,
here.
yes,
putting
please.
a neat bow. Everything you've both said here. I feel like a lot of the criticisms around RC is not just label specific. It is indicative of the misogyny, homophobia, and racism that we deal with overall in hip hop, but in society. I mean, it's those things have become much more sort of a global spotlight because we've had our own administration demonstrating those same sort of disgusting segregation and divisiveness among those feelings. So I feel like, there's, yes, racism implications, all the things that we've seen around rhyme sayers is just a microcosm of everything that's happening in the larger sort of stage of our nation right now. So I feel like this article is just continue to be a smoke signal that we need to continue to excavate a lot of these stories, because once you start to talk to people and you start to hear more about it, that's how these stories get shared, and so that there can be positive change. So I always feel like, I think at first a lot of people were more so heartbroken, I'm sorry, that these stories were coming out, and I feel like we can't really become better as a community until we actually excavate and tell those stories. That's how we shed any of this from happening in the future, and how we learn how to be better. Once you know better, you do better. And so I think there's that, trying to find a tangible way now to be able to help not just survivors in ways, but also artists that, whether they're queer artists or whether they are people of color or whether they are people who are different, whatever that might be. How do we as a community come together and make it safer and inclusive for everyone, and that people can be valued as artists? So I think that's, it's a good start that we not only, sort of take the opportunity to say we're against misogyny and racism and homophobia and those things, but we also have to, as a community, call people out when they demonstrate those things, whether they're music artists or just, your neighbor, being able to do that. So that's where I stand with that.
Yeah. Interesting conversation. This is why I love being on a show with you guys. I love your insights, and we highly recommend it. I think you can Google Psalm 1 Medium Human Resources. The title of the article is "Ain't No Human Resources in Hip Hop." I'm pulling it up to make sure I give you the exact right. Ain't No Human Resources in Hip Hop on Medium. It's about a week old or so. But definitely worth the read, just to get a glimpse into, a little bit of the life of independent. Well, I don't want to say independent because it is a label, but smaller label hip hop, and kind of like that hip hop middle class, as I like to call it. So it's a really interesting article, and by all means, hit us up on social media and tell us if you thought we're way off base on our opinions on the article, or you had other original thoughts. We would love to hear them. So we're going to take a quick short break, and this time I do promise we are going to talk about Open Mike Eagle when we come back. Welcome back to Grande Loq, the Grandiloquent Hip Hop Show. We're not here just to talk about music. We do dream interpretation as well. I don't know if you know that, but Artemis is a licensed dream interpreter. I believe only licensed in the state of Maryland. Are you in Maryland right now? I
never said that.
Okay, all right. So Tia, I know you were really struggling to figure out what was going on in your most recent dream, and so this is like a little feature that I think we can have every so often on Grande Loq. It's the Grande Loq dream interpretation segment.
Yes.
So Tia,
so I need some
help, your dreams.
Because I had this interesting dream. I went to sleep. I had just decorated the tree, and I thought, let me sit and play some music, and I listened to some music before I went to bed. And I woke up this morning. I had a little bit of a spirit or two, but nothing extreme. And I woke up having dreamed that I was in a group with No Emotion Gold Mask, who you know who that is, and Kambada Music, who was out of New Haven, both super underground, sort of emerging artists. Totally, I will say, on a scale of just alternative kind of rap. I don't know what you would call them. No Emotion Gold Mask is called No Emotion Gold Mask because the mask that they wear shows no emotion, and their rap style is sort of asking questions, puzzling questions of the universe. Why do cows have spots and stand upwards when they sleep? And that's the way that they rap the whole entire time. over this really lo-fi beats. And Kambata is sort of would call themselves as sort of an LSD bipolar music. And why I had a dream, like I said, I don't know. I don't know what that was about, but I'm interested to find out what happens. And I woke up to, by the way, No Emotion Gold Mask following me. So is that something that I put into the universe? I don't know.
Is that
But
a
they're following me.
premonition?
I think I did have one because that was just an awkward thing to get for No Emotion to follow me. I just dreamed it up. It was sort of a, yeah.
I never heard of No Emotion. I want to check them out.
Check them out. They're I don't we don't know what the person behind the mask is, but it's a very MF Doomish kind of a thing. But very interesting style. Kind of growing more and more. So if you get a chance, I'm putting you into some really new music. You know, Griselda, like think about years ago before they were 10 years ago. And just the first time that you heard West Side Gun or something, that's how these two artists, they're certainly the next step. That next crop of freshmen that's underground sort of approved. And so you got to check them out. No Emotion Gold Mask.
It sounds to me, Tia, like your subconscious is telling you when those opportunities arise, you got to seize them.
Yes.
How's that? Was that good? Was that good?
Was good.
Is that
was good.
Is that license worthy, Artemis?
I guess, man. I don't know why you're asking me.
Artemis, you don't have. Come on now.
Oh, you're not the dream interpretation guy. Okay, I get it. Okay.
I never told you that was my job.
Fine.
Are you
I'll do the dream fine. I'll do the dream interpretations from now on. All right, fine.
Exactly.
That's how it's gonna be. All right. As you guys know, our viewers, our audience, both of you, at Grande LOQ, we like to talk about great new music. And so this week we are going to talk about the new Open Mike Eagle album. It just came out a couple months ago. It's Anime, Trauma, and Divorce. There's not a lot of subtlety in that title. Pretty much all of the subjects that he touches on in this album are right there in that title: Anime, Trauma, and Divorce. Just like really quickly, my quick thoughts on this one. I was actually reading the Pitchfork review, and there was a couple lines in there that I thought really kind of encapsulated the album for me. This is from the Pitchfork review. While his raps are often set in fantastical universes sprung from his imagination, the subject matter here is chillingly mundane and relatable. He finds himself, he being Mike Eagle, finds himself rap aesthetic he spent much of his adult life creating in a deteriorating dad bod that just doesn't seem that funny anymore. And like you listen to this album and it all makes sense. And as somebody who is living in a deteriorating dad bod, that definitely is true. But this is like so just to back it up for a minute. So Open Mic is, you know, everybody's having a shitty 2020, obviously, unless you're Jeff Bezos and you're Amazon and they're pumping out 10 times more shipments than they ever were. But like everybody's having a shitty 2020. Open Mic had a shitty 2019 and now is living through 2020. But at least he has this album that is, I thought, cathartic. I mean, you guys know me. My whole thing on art is I want an artist's truth. In to me, regardless your medium, regardless whether it's music, whether it's sculpture, whether it's painting, whether it's acting, I want to see some truth from the artist. And there's a whole lot of truth on this album. It's very musical, which always, you know, I'm a musician, that always draws me in. But I felt like his lyrics, he has a great self-deprecating sense of humor. Everything that's gone wrong in his lyrics, there's funny lines, even when he's talking about things. He's talking about his marriage falling apart. He's talking about professional partnerships coming undone. But there's still a light touch at times that's refreshing. Like I say, it is very musical. It's a very listenable album. I don't know, Artemis, what were your thoughts on this album, kind of overall?
First of all, shout outs to Open Mike Eagle, the homie in real life. Um, I have to say, man, I've done business with him in a good way. We did a project with the NIH before, about freestyle science. That's a different story for another day. And I actually hooked him up with a couple shows here. So with that said, it's good to see him back out with another project because this man has a very extensive catalog of music he's been able to put out over the years. This album, in particular, I feel like this is up there with his man. I want to say with his album with Paul White. The name is escaping me right now, but he did a very dope album with Paul White that was just so good. Or maybe even Dark Comedy Hour. Like he knows what he's doing whenever he puts together his albums. This was a very good blend of just like the updated, somewhat of the trappy sound, but not completely that. And you can tell that he wants to hone in on his skills of just not only rapping but also comedy. Because the one thing about Open Mike Eagle that he was able to do was blend in with the comedy crowd. I can't remember the clip of where he did this at, but he performed in a comedy club, and like the crowd went nuts because he had these one-liners that was just like crazy, and everybody was like, "Yo, what?" And it sounded like it was a joke, and that was so genius to do. I feel like he covers this again in this album, but not every song is meant to be happy, and that's kind of crazy too if you think about it. Comedians aren't always like happy people. They don't even like make a joke sometimes. They get to the joke with some reality, with a lot of other things that are very contextual. I feel like with Mike, he does that a lot. I'm proud of him for this album. Happy for him. He's bringing on his homie Video Dave. You know, he got his seed on one of the songs. Like, it's painful. Like it's painful when you hear some of it because it's like, you know what, you went through a lot, dude. But you make a lot of songs with some grooves in them, and you're just telling the truth, and people are just buying it. Like I'm pretty sure the vinyl is sold out quite a few places now. The CDs, like he's doing it, and it's on his own label, all over his records. So, Mike, thank you for doing this, brother. One of the top albums of the year. Tell you right now, if not top 5, top 10. All
right, so just to back it up real quick, Hella Personal Film Festival, I think is the album you're talking about with Paul White.
I was trying to think of the name of it.
Yeah. Let's get into some of the songs here. Let's get into this first joint that we're going to talk about, Head Ass Idiot Shinji, and when we come back on the other side, Tia, why don't you kick us off on this jam?
Hey, yo. This one goes out to all the head asses out there. I feel you. This is a head ass support group. I'm a master head ass myself. If I was a superhero, my name might be Captain Head Asuka. If I was a transformer, my name might be Head Artemis Prime. Welcome home. Ass on my head, 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 ass on my head.
With my big, I lost the fight, but I know I'm right. Bring it up tonight. Why you rehashing shit again, lil stubborn head ass? With my big, no mountain too high, no backup plan. Fill up a van. I think I can, lil engine head ass. With my lil, no pepper. Sit in the shade, don't wanna play. I need a shower, almost ready.
Oh, that's tight. That's so good. That's so good. Tia, tell us about that track.
Oh, this one is one I listen. I think when we have gotten Artemis set this up right about comedy, I feel like this is it's the head ass anthem that makes it just incredibly the funniest thing. It's what do you call those TV screen in a screen or whatever you call that when you picture in
Picture in
picture.
picture.
It is picture in picture comedy, which I love because as he's talking, referring sort of the insult around what it means to be a head is, which is for people who may not know, it's a sort of very generic insult around somebody being incredibly socially inept and just stupid.
Illiterate.
And yeah, and the
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 video.
lot of yeah, exactly. And I feel like this album, obviously anime being at the center of it, but Shinji, the manga and anime are throughout this particular album. In
Yeah.
Evangelion, the Neon Genesis Evangelion is featured in this track, with Shinji. So I just, anyway, I think it's hilarious, and at the same time, it's like, boy, I, is this how it feels? You know what I mean? This is the head ass anthem. If you are an idiot, Shinji, this is what it's like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love the self-deprecating aspect to it. It has a great musicality to it as well. It's a great track. It's very self-deprecating, which I always appreciate. I feel like you can't take yourself. You can take certain things seriously. You should never take yourself that seriously.
Right.
Let's move on to our next track since we're up against it.
Yeah.
I think
Should
we're
I
only
should
gonna,
I
I think we're,
add in
I
the
think we're only
fact?
gonna, I think we're only get, I think we're only gonna get two more. So let's do Aces and Black Mirror.
Yeah, just adding in the fact that was produced by Black Milk. For those we were in Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit.
Yeah, so let's go into Asa's Bop.
My eyes glazed over like Mike, what you thinking about? I really don't wanna log into my bank account. Watching all the rapper girls and spying all the rapper guys. Surprise, it's got me feeling dissatisfied. In between and singing blues is the tendency. But Michael Nimble, Michael move independently. He get Paragon, peep the 10-hour marathon. Studio crying, watching Evangelion. Barely no line between speaker and audience. So-called analysts haven't got the foggiest. A nigga's problems unseen like Invisalign. It's dinner time, watch me compartmentalize. We belong or pretend we legitimate. Half Joe Star, half Shinji the etiquette. And right when I'm about to tap out though, I hear my kids skipping through the house all out going.
Fire.
Yes, that's dope. That's super dope. Artemis, what are your thoughts on this track?
Man, the swing on that track, man. You know what? When I've made beats over the years, I've definitely always tried to like get a swing like that in the track. And I was like listening to it, I was like, man, those drums in the track, first of all, crazy. And then the vibe of it all, it's just so different. I feel like this is the kind of sound that's going to make hip hop way more progressive in the future. Like years from now, I feel like his whole catalog will be like, yo, he influenced so and so. But I feel like this album in particular is going to get people's eyes and ears like open, complete to what he's doing. The honesty with his lyrics and how he's just able to like just hit pockets of the beat. It's just beautiful, and it's just like so like real, and you feel it because he's just like spacing out his words right and just capturing that emotion. And then his seed is on the hook, killing it.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. That's right. He's got his son on there.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting. He's talking about seeing other rappers being successful, and it's obviously like bothering him. And it's like this. And I call it like relative status. I remember I used to work at a country club. Used to bartend before I started law school, and so we used to get free golf. And I had a buddy who was single digit handicap, and I was like, I really wish I could play like you. And he's like, yeah, well, I know this guy who's a 0 handicap, and I really wish I could play like him. And that guy really wishes he could play like this other guy. You know, and you see with music too, there's like guitar players out there that are just like, I watch them, I'm like, oh my God, I should just like put down my guitar. I can't ever get to that level. And then I find out that there's other people who are like, oh my God, Taronji's like an amazing guitar player. And I'm just like, really? I mean, I'm looking at these guys, but I got other people looking at me. And, you know, I just found I found that whole part of the song to be really interesting, you know, because he's obviously talking about some of his professional problems that he's had with, you know, with his label, and like a collective that he was in, just kind of like breaking up. And, you know, that this part of that song really kind of drives that home, that he's having, you know, he's kind of, in many ways, kind of maybe having some of the same career problems that Psalm 1 was having. Maybe not exactly the same, but you know, kind of like trying to make your way in a sort of middle class of music and hip hop. I don't know. Tia, what were your thoughts on this one?
I think you both have said it all. I feel like again, this sort of lament of new age blues. I don't know. I mean, it's sort of, to me, that's what this is. It's like if you take trying to survive and living with this reality that Open Mike Eagle has. And I loved, Artemis said something about the sonics of it, and for me the sonics are so, I guess, an antithesis to what the song, sort of the self-loathing, is about. I love the fact that his son is on it, on the chorus. I mean, everything about the song is really, you know, it's one of those kinds of things you really have to study listening to the lyrics, and you're like, wow, this is really a blues. And it's quite sad in a way. But yeah, this one, I feel like it's one of my favorite ones on the album.
Yeah. Before we get into the Black Mirror episode, which is the last cut that we're gonna like dig deep into, I just want to just really quickly mention Sweatpants Spider-Man is actually my favorite cut on this album. For those who don't know, that's a reference to the Spider-Verse movie that came out a couple of years ago, where there was like a alternate universe Peter Parker who Mary Jane broke up with him, and he got fat and got depressed and got pulled in. So that's like the whole Sweatpants Spider-Man thing. And you know, that's another portion of this album that maybe hit a little too close to home for me, but it's such a great song. I like WTF is Self-Care.
That was my other favorite cut.
What is it? Bacciardi or Bacci?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it.
I don't know.
Bucciarati. I thought was a very cool number as well. So we're not gonna dig deep into those, but just some other choice cuts that you can check out from this album. So the last one that we're going to talk in depth about is the Black Mirror episode. So we'll talk about it on the other side. Let's hear it, and then we'll chop it up on this one.
Yes. Hold on 1 second. For whatever reason, I've got I need to open Mike Eagle myself again. Give me 1 second if you guys want to just quickly chat on maybe a little bit more on this song, and then I'll pull it up and give you a cue.
Okay, so check it out. I have never seen Black Mirror for real. Now I have to watch it and see which episode he is talking about, because I want to be like, oh, that's what you were talking about, Mike. Damn. So I could just, but this is the funny thing. I'm listening to the song. I'm like, dang, you know what? Maybe I binge watched the episode of something with one of my exes, and maybe a show that I watched with one of them kind of messed things up. I don't know. Maybe Kimmy Schmidt.
So
maybe
you
it
may
was
have
like,
had a similar situation as watching. Okay, well, hold on. I've got the clip open, so I want to hear this because you have. Okay, so let's
Yeah, I've got a similar as well, but all right.
Okay.
Black Mirror episode ruined my marriage. Black Mirror episode ruined my marriage. Black Mirror episode ruined my marriage. the description. If it's a love story, pick something different. I should've known from the very first season. Couples fighting for some pretty good reasons. Happy home go to hell cause of tech shit. Well, my shit went to hell cause of Netflix. So excited when y'all made the announcements. The episode should've came with some counseling. The Black Mirror episode ruined my marriage. The Black Mirror episode ruined my marriage. The Black Mirror episode.
Yo.
Yeah. The episode should have come. The episode should have come with some counseling.
Yo.
Oh man. Yeah. I texted the group before the show, and I'm like, "Are there any Black Mirror watchers here? Like, which episode is he talking about that ruined his marriage?" And so that is still the mystery.
It was the interactive one, was it? Because I was wondering, didn't Black Mirror have something that was very interactive on Netflix, like last year?
I
think they did.
I stopped watching after the first season, so I'm not sure. And he's been asked. He was actually asked on Twitter which episode it was. And he said it was in his response. He responded in a New York Times article and said it wasn't the fact that we called it quits like the night we watched it, but it was an episode with a couple in it. And after seeing the way whatever the relationship was, that they weren't able to come back from that. So,
that's deep.
Damn, that is deep.
Yeah.
That is deep.
Because
I was thinking it was like one of those. Because I've had, I think my wife and I got into an argument after like a Game of Thrones episode where I was like, no, this happened, and she was like, no, that's not what happened. This happened, and so it's like not even like anything substantive that happened in that caused. It was just like our just a general disagreement that came about as a result of. So I would never say that the Game of Thrones episode caused that argument, but like I don't know what was going on there. I love that bass line that just drones through. It's really simple. It's like literally I think 2 notes.
Yep.
But it's just sounds so dope. The drums on there are great. There's great jazz musicality throughout this album, really.
Yeah.
Not just this song, but like throughout this album. I really like that's, I mean, you guys know I'm not an MC. I'm a composer. I'm a musician, and so harmony and melody mean as much to me as rhythm and lyricism mean. So that's why I'm always drawn to hip hop that has great musicality and musicianship. Which is not to say that it has to be live instruments. Like there are producers who do make great music, and there's great music on this album. I thought this was an example of that, and another kind of self-deprecating number as well, where he's,
right.
Black Mirror episode ruined my marriage. So, do we have any final thoughts on Open Mike Eagle?
Okay, so wait a minute. I just thought about it. Like, this didn't ruin a relationship, but he didn't really like ruin a relationship. But I do remember an ex-girlfriend of mine. Me and her would try to put each other onto different shows, and we just weren't feeling like the other. Like, she wanted me to watch like I don't know How to Get Away with Murder or something, or like Scandal. I was like, Then I tried to put her on to something else. I can't remember what I was watching, and she wasn't feeling it. So it was like I think like the different taste in shows did ruin things, different binging habits. So
yeah.
Anyways, I feel like I'll just wrap it up and say, Over My Ego, keep your head up, brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud of you. You've been making
great
good
album.
strides, not only in music but also on screen. Like he did have his own television show on Comedy Central.
Right.
I don't think it was renewed, but the fact you get to that point, good. You know what I mean? Keep pushing, brother.
And the podcast. I mean, talk
and
about
the
picture
podcast,
in picture.
Yeah.
Here it is where we've got a podcast that we're discussing.
So,
several podcasts that have been that are out there. So keep going, Artemis. I didn't mean to interject.
Oh no, that's all I had to say. I just wanted to say, dope album. Keep pushing, man.
Super dope album. Anime, Trauma, and Divorce. Open Mike Eagle, 2020 album. Highly recommend. It's a really great listen and really deep truths by a top-notch artist. So When we come back, we are going to get our Yag Fu front on.
Yes.
As the kids say. And welcome back to Grande Loq, the Grandiloquent Hip Hop Show. We always like to, in addition to go back and revisit the classics. So Artemis,
we are going to be checking out Yag Fu Front's action-packed adventure, released on March 6, 1994. Great album. The album that I actually grew up on, and it's just so inspirational to me. Yag Fu Front, they're originally from North Carolina. This album came out on Mercury Polygram, and now everybody talks about, the P.D. Pablos, Little Brothers. Shout outs to them, of course, but like you got cats like Superstition, you got all these other guys, but you had Yag Fu Front, who did it big way back in the day, and it's a damn shame they don't get as much props as they should, especially for this album. The group is made up of 3 members, which is Spinforth, Deranged and Damaged, and Jingle Bell. Shouts to Jingle Bell, because me and Tia, we've kicked him in a couple of times, Shouts to him.
We love
they
Jingle.
all, if I'm not mistaken, they all met up in college, I think. I gotta look and see if that was the case. But they definitely made a stellar classic album, and I'm glad to just share it with y'all. You know what I mean? If you haven't heard it, you should definitely hear it. But his very first single is called Busted Loop. Probably the one song that I saw on Rap City, and then it blew my mind when I saw the video, just with the energy, hearing Spinforth's verse just come on with that crazy song. I just lost my mind hearing it. So without further ado, let's listen to Busted Loop by Yag Fu Front. Man, what takes me back?
Energy.
The energy of the flows. What y'all think about this record, man? I talked so much about it. Ian, what did you think?
I love it. It felt like a distillation of great 90s hip hop. This song right here, like that drum beat just sounds like something right out of like Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. Just like, high energy, just bounce, bounce, bounce. I loved it. I love that bass line that's in there. Yeah. Just great stuff, man. Like if you are a lover of 90s hip hop, and I think we all know kind of like what falls into that category, this is a really great album to check out and listen to. It's actually not available on Spotify. I had to like dig it up on YouTube and listen to it.
I could have sworn it was. It's not.
Yeah.
I gotta look this up now. Dang. My bad, y'all. If I gave y'all wrong information.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Dang. I'm kind of blown because I thought I would. But anyways, Tia, what'd you think?
So this is I feel like this song is action-packed adventure has a vibe to it. And this song, I feel like because for people who don't know, I'd never heard of Bobos until I actually heard, like, it wasn't a DC slang. despite how close we are, until this album came out, and then everybody was calling them bobos at that point. So I feel like they introduced a lot of slang, but this album to me this song, I'm sorry, is an introduction for me for this whole album. I feel like it gives you the whole aesthetic of what this album is. It's jazzy, but it's still upbeat. And Ian, you hit it on the head with the sort of the quintessential 90s flavor of like, it could have been EPMD or Tribe or whomever, like that. Wu-Tang, it's
side.
Exactly. It's one of those kinds of things. I feel like I love this, and the fact that it's called, Busted Loop, I feel like is such a funny. It's almost a little funny, and thinking about it too, of like, it's a little bit of a lo-fi instrumental. It's a great instrumental, but it's just to me, the coming in of it is just like, it's all fun, and it's all hype, and I love that about that era. The hype.
I think it's literally a busted loop too. When you hear that, like I think they just I think they screwed it up, and we're like, fuck it, let's go. It's good.
Exactly.
And this is a record I used to play all the time. I used to actually have the single of this. I used to have this on tape, and I would play it out, and there was like snippets of like Where'd You Get Your Bobos, Left Field, and all the couple of songs that were on the album. And I was like, yo, I could not wait till this dropped. And they were like movie heads too. Like when you listen to the whole album, like they have funny skits and everything. It trips you out. Like songs like Trooper, 101, was it Mr. Hook? I think it was like Mr. Hook. Black Liquid is like a crazy like storytelling song. They just knew what they were doing with this album, man, and I really appreciate them for making a classic, in my opinion, or a classic for people that haven't heard it. They need to hear it. So with that said, we should get into the next single. Yeah, we should get into the single that pretty much got them on the map more so than Busted Loop. I feel, and everybody talks about this song just because it was so dope. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Let's see, Left Field by Yak Fu Front. Let's hear that real quick. All right.
Perfect. Let's go.
If you step to the right, I step to the left. I'm too hard to tell you that you're deaf. If you step to the right, I step to the left. I'm too hard to tell you that you're deaf. If you step to the right, I step to the left. I'm too hard to tell you that you're deaf. If you step to the right, I step to the left. I'm too hard to tell you that you're deaf.
You are my bubbling brown sugar. What you cram to understand? I'm a man. Sensitivity is a virtue, but if I don't show that, I hurt you. In front of your friends.
Yes. I love that. Absolutely love that.
Yes.
So smooth, and this is
so smooth. That joint right there reminds me of Tribe or Far Side. These guys are North Carolina, but it's obvious that they're drawing a lot of a lot of New York kind of based influence. I love that, just that boom bap beat right there.
People don't know this about somewhere like that area. There's always been an influence from like the upper East Coast to a degree. Not all the time, but like North Carolina has always had like that kind of sound. That's why you have like the Justice League doing what they were doing when they were around like they were, This song was like heard everywhere. And, I remember, like I said, I was playing that snippet tape. I remember wanting to hear the rest of Deranged and Damage's like verse, which goes second. And then when it went Spin Force set on his verse, because I was just like, yo, this song, come on. This has got to blow up. Tia, what did you think about this joint?
So this song is interesting for me because I feel like Artemis, you saying that there were movie buffs. One of this sample is a Lawrence Hilton Jacobs sample. And for people who don't know who Lawrence Hilton Jacobs is, I mean, more popularly known as Cochise from Cooley High. Everybody knows I cried when Cochise died, right? Like this song comes from one of his songs. So to me, I feel like sometimes there's little notes in the song a little bit sometimes that the artist leaves you of like what inspired this song, and it's mostly about trying to like step to a girl you like and not having the confidence to do that, and or being attracted to a woman and being, fearful of showcasing that. And the whole entire setting of the video, which is one of my favorite videos, is like them in the bar or whatever, sitting at the table, at a table, a booth or whatever, and then being at the bar. Just the whole entire thing. I feel like that organ loop in that Lawrence Hilton Jacobs song is it for me. So I love that organ loop, and I'm a sucker for an organ loop. Give me some Jimmy McGriff or something. Like, let me have the organ. I want it. And so I love the aesthetic and the vibe of this song too. Again, part of that is just quintessential, like your action-packed adventure. This is what, from Busted Loop to this song to others, you're going to have an action-packed adventure.
Exactly. Yeah. And before we go any further, if y'all haven't checked it out, they have an album called Secret Tapes. Now, this is actually a repress by Chopped Herring Records. Shout out to them. Secret Tapes was originally put out on Men's Recordings in 2002, which is a compilation of songs they did in the past. There are certain songs that were coming up that a lot of people didn't know about. It's a very rare record, I want to say. The first pressing of it, if you could find it, please get it. I had the CD of it, or I think I might have still had it when Men's Recording put it out, but Chopped Herring just picked it up, put it on vinyl and CD with some hidden tracks. So I'd say if you heard Action Packed Adventure and you liked it, you got to definitely pick up Secret Tapes. Fire on both ends. And it also shows that they can like hang with the newer generation of music, because they could have easily fit into that whole Dilla vibe of music, and they were like, because they started like getting more serious about their topics. Like, and they still had the comedy, but it was like they were just coming up with newer concepts to talk about. But anyways,
just a classic sound on these joints, man.
Very classic.
Thought it was very jazzy. I loved it. All right, Hold 'Em Back. Let's talk Hold 'Em Back real quick and then get into it.
Yeah, let's get into Hold 'Em Back.
Agility, ability contained in my brain is substantial. This that who ever got the number 2 lead pencil? To test my utensil, a futuristic sonic. So this is ironic, the age of atomic. The last man who tried spent 6 million. He's bionic. I'm not the super duper, or even the Action Jackson. More like the man of plastic. Look at Mr. Fantastic. The come with Ben Grimm. It's us against them. Try to climb up on the front, but you end up on a limb. Shout, hold 'em back. The kids going crazy again. 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 Hold me at 'em. The kids going crazy again. Hold me back. The kids going crazy again. Hold me back. The kids going crazy again. Hold me back. The kids going crazy again.
As I gather the thoughts of the brain to maintain the attention of the listeners, it's the Grand Roar, King of Flow, Master of Intro, that man who hits those notes like they never could be hit. If it don't fit, don't force it. The force is, of course, it's me.
I love that upright bass. I love that upright bass, man. That just feels like a gang. It feels like a Gangstar track to me, right there.
Really, that's interesting. I was hoping this would have been the other single. Like if there was enough money in the budget to make that the third single, or maybe Action Packed Adventure, was that a single? I keep forgetting how.
You know what? I don't know, because it was a video. So you see, sometimes I get confused, because back in that time they didn't always release a single, but it would be a video. And you know what I mean?
There's a video for Looking for a Contract too.
That's what I was gonna say. Like there was a video for Looking for a Contract. I remember that. But I was like, Action Packed Adventure, I want to say that came out as a single with the instrumental and radio cut. I couldn't remember. But I was like, Hold 'Em Back. I'm not sure why this doesn't have a video. So I mean, like, it's not a single. But,
I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for hip hop that gets played with there's an upright bass. I'm just a sucker for the upright bass. Really is what it's all about.
But but just in conclusion, man, I just want to salute them for being OGs in the game like they are. If you want to support them, they are on Twitter, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram. I want to say they have a shop now with some of their gear. Actually, now they have. I want to say that they're trying to come up with hats, hoodies with like their logo with the afro fade and the bugged out eyes. They're like trying to they're coming up with new merch and stuff. And I don't know, man. I'm boosted as a. I feel like I'm back in high school. You know, like listening to them again. So
Yeah.
I want to say support Yak Fu Front if y'all can. You know what I mean? Shout outs to Spinforth, Deranged the Damaged, and Jingle Bell, especially Jingle Bell too, because he's gave us love many a times when he's come to see us do shows. He messes with the music too. So hopefully we can connect and build with him again. Definitely.
Yeah.
Tia, any closing thoughts here on this one?
No, other than I agree. Jingle was absolutely a mentor for me in a good part of my career, kind of coming back off of hiatus, offered me a lot of great advice. And I know has a tremendous amount of respect for Artemis too. So I, just as somebody who is, you know, just a visionary, and that says to me a lot about the group. And if you think about it, like Artemis, I mean, you said so much, but the fact of like these guys meeting at North Carolina State University, or I believe that's where they met, but and then being able to come together and make one of the most sort of impactful albums, I think, in the canon for the South. Many people don't recognize, you know, how important this album was. And the Demigods, for many people who don't know the Demigods, that is inspired by, you know, this album, that group. So anyway, just I love the fact that, you know, we can celebrate these albums years later and they still stand up. And that's what it means to be in the canon, right? It's timeless music.
That's right. Well said. People think that like rap from South is like confined to Fulton County, Georgia, you know, in and around Atlanta.
Nope.
Like there's a lot of great North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, a lot of great hip hop. I'm sure we're gonna get to all those locales here on Grande LOQ. So all right, guys, we're closing it up. Go ahead.
Just saying, even with the which I neglected to talk about, one of the things about Yak Fu Front that makes them also really innovative is the idea around acronyms. And even though acronyms are kind of obviously EPMD, there's Onyx, there's so many acronyms, right? But you're gonna get fucked up if you front. I think it's got to be the most creative acronym there has been. You are gonna get fucked up if you front, and this is the shortened version. But I feel like
advice right there for all you kids out there. You are going to get fucked. Words never been spoken. I got to tell you guys, I always enjoy talking hip hop, talking music with you guys. It's always a lot of fun. We have great discussions. So this was Grande LOQ. If you into this episode, we would be honored if you would subscribe, rate, review the show. Production courtesy of the great Marcus Donovan, the Pasteurized Chef. You can check out their show, the District of Misfits show, every Sunday evening. They go live at 9, and they get loose and they have fun. So this show is a Dogface Studios production. I thank you for letting us into your brain. Peace, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.